So in the previous episode, I repaired a console that had a bad CPU, and this is the second one of the bunch. So let's take a closer look at what's wrong with this one. So when I run the burn-in test, it seems to have OAM01 fail. So once again, I'm not really familiar what OAM01 fail is, but I can take a guess. That's probably a PPU related issue. So oftentimes, if you have a bad CPU and you don't have a burn-in test cartridge test, if you try with a game, you'll get a black screen. That's why it's referred to as the black screen of death. And other times you'll try it with a game and the game will fire up, but some of the graphics will be distorted, or some of the textures and sprites will be inversed or in different locations or just missing outright. So those usually indicate bad PPU. Now the Super Nintendo and the Super Famicom architecture has a PPU1 and a PPU2, and they both handle different sprites in different layers. So in this case, I don't know which PPU is bad. I'm just going to take a guess and say it's PPU1. So as you can see, when I fire up Donkey Kong, some of the layers and some of the images are correct, but the main character sprites are wrong. So here the overworld sprite is all jumbled up, and in the gameplay the main character sprite is just missing outright. So the reason why I believe that the CPU is okay is the logic of the game is still there. It's just a graphical related problem that I'm experiencing. Realistically, I don't know which PPU is bad. It's just a wild guess, so I'm just going to pull off PPU1, and if that works, then that works. If it doesn't, I have to replace PPU2. So here's the donor chip. It's on the donor board from the previous video. As you can see, the chip to the left, it was the CPU and it's gone. So now I'm going to pull PPU1 to see if I can salvage another console. Sometimes aligning these chips is 1, 2, 3, and other times it's more difficult. In this case, the chip just fell into place. I didn't have to flatten the pads too much. I didn't have to use a desoldering braid. The chip just fell right into place. Now I didn't use flux right away. I just want to tack the chip in place more or less so it won't slide on me, and then I'll come and reflow it with some flux. It's also important to clean up the flux on the top and bottom of the board, because flux sometimes can cause issues. So now for the moment of truth, I'm going to run the burn-in test. And it seems to have passed. So now I know for the future an OAM failure is related to the PPU1. So it seems like the Donkey Kong sprites are correct, so I figured out the problem. So for the future, in case I get this issue again, I want to write this down. So in my notes I'll write OAM01 fail is related to the PPU1. So I'll add it to my notes, so in the future if I ever have the same problem, I can solve it right away. So it seems that's it for this video, so stay tuned for more future videos.